The number of coronavirus cases all over the world has exceeded 1 lakh at this point of time. I would first of all like to laud the tremendous efforts of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India. Tremendous effort he has made in trying to aggressively try to curb the spread of coronavirus. Lockdown was a sensible effort. And yesterday's video of mine did explain that there are certain economic costs that the country will have to bear, but that does not mean that a lockdown should not have been in place. I received many responses, and all that I was trying to tell you is that the lockdown is good, but you cannot consistently be in a lockdown condition for months and months together. There will always be a certain point of time where you will have to take an exit position. Besides, there are certain red areas where the incidence of coronavirus and density of population is highest. In these areas, it could be very, very strictly implemented. In the other areas where there is no case at all, then you could get a little lax and give a little freedom to people. People, after all, have to get back to work in some way or the other. Now, a lot of my viewers are doing well and good amount of savings, and for them it doesn't make a difference. But I'm sure you have realized that the case of the migrant laborers this time, after the announcement of the lockdown, is something which is really pitiable. The way they have walked 200 to 300 kilometers together with nothing to eat. They have done this before also. They used to walk back to their villages, many of them. But they used to have some dabas, they used to have restaurants on highways. Now they were also shut. So they had nothing to eat on the way either. It's really a very pitiable situation. I am not denying that the role of the government is to look first at the health. So don't get me wrong. Some people are getting me wrong. There is a very important maxim which describes the role of the government, and that's called Salus Populi Suprema Lex Esto. It says that the health of the people should be the supreme law, or let the good or safety of the people be the supreme or the highest law for the country, for the government. So that's what the government is doing. They are saying that the health of the people is paramount and we are trying to safeguard that. But what is happening is there are certain things we should bear in mind that which may be unintended consequences. So what you have to do is fine tune your policies. Nothing wrong. Nobody is disputing your policy. You are supreme. You have every right and you're doing exactly what is necessary. But you have to fine tune it in a manner that certain incidental damages which are taking place should not happen. Because that can be detrimental to many societies. And for example, now you look at all the hospitals across the country, not only India but various parts of the world. Tremendous effort is going into the COVID-19 patients, right? So as a result, many hospitals are not entertaining cases of people with other issues, other problems. For example, people with cancer, with tuberculosis. They are looking more into emergencies, and these types of people have done no wrong. At the same time, they also deserve medical attention. So there is a tremendous focus on COVID-19 does not mean that other people do not deserve as much attention. There could be cancer which could certainly turn malignant. You have to be careful. If a TB patient is there, you have to treat him quickly. That can lead to further issues. If there's an asthmatic patient, there has to be treatment given. There could be very serious respiratory disorders that will take place. Besides, there are other unintended consequences, if I may call it that way. The performances of police brutality and even acts of sadism in dealing with the citizen behavior during the lockdown is something really very worrying. There was spraying of some chemicals on some people. It was in a video reported that they were trying to disinfect the people. Now, what is the basic premise of all this? That the people who are the unorganized sector people, are these the people who are the only carriers of the coronavirus? That's why you do not allow them to mingle with the urban rich. Well, in fact, really speaking, the real carriers of the coronavirus could be people who are flying across, the urban rich. They need not be just laborers. Besides, 93% of the workforce employed in a country like India is the unorganized workforce. So to put things which may be detrimental to them is itself putting the country in a very serious imbalance. Not only that, do not forget that handicrafts, weavers, these are the great people who contribute to a great amount of the total jobs employment in this country. Now, March, April are the periods during which these people have the opportunity to sell their products. There is nothing now there for them to sell, as a result of which inventory is piling up. Inventory, huge mountain loads of inventory. How are they going to get their money? How are they going to dispose of their loads? There is now the finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman is talking about giving 5 kgs of rice to each person. 5 kgs were already there before. Now there are certain disputes arising that the earlier 5 kgs are free and this is also free, or the early one is chargeable and this one is not free. So there is now great amount of disputes taking place at ration shops. That people over there at the down on the ground reality is something very different from what the finance minister intention was. Besides, the Manrega provisions, which provide for an increase in the wage rate from 12%, it takes it to 20 rupees. Now that was anyway overdue. Besides, even if the Manrega wages have increased from 12% to 20%, where is the work? Where is the work people have in this COVID-19 world? There are people who are being laid off, even in the urban areas. I mean, so it's the work is not there, the Manrega work, then how are you going to pay? So probably some enabling provision should be put by the government that irrespective of the work availability, people would be paid wages nevertheless. And 12% to 20 is no great. It was anyway overdue. So it's not something that is something too much that has happened so far for the migrant laborers. Within 10 days, many districts of India are staring at a very severe water scarcity crisis. Now, there's nothing wrong. The lockdowns are perfectly fine. But look at Mumbai. All the major APMC markets have been shut down. How are the people going to get their produce? Here there are people, the rural sector is under tremendous distress. The people have watermelons, they got mangoes, and they are unable to access the urban markets. There's no way, there's no transportation, the social distancing, etc. So they're throwing away the milk, they're throwing away the mangoes, they're throwing away the watermelons. And look at the people in the metropolitan cities like Mumbai. They are not getting sufficient quantity of mangoes. I have not seen much of mangoes in any shop so far. It's almost reaching the peak of the summer season. So there is they are sitting with produce. They're throwing milk. Gallons of milk are being thrown in the rivers. Nobody transport them, and people in the metropolitan cities do not get the produce. They are standing in lines and queues for hours and hours. Besides, something like what Singapore Prime Minister did is he announced on the 3rd of April, I'm putting a lockdown from the 7th of April for 1 month. He gave people 4 days time, so 3 days time to prepare. Good, that's very nice. Demonetization was very great. I lauded the efforts of Prime Minister. I mean, urgency was there. I mean, if you announce at 8 o'clock, he said, excellent move, 12 o'clock, midnight, these notes are banned. Superb. You don't give opportunity to the people to go and arrange, because the surprise element was the key. Fantastic. I have lauded that effort. Tremendous and a very bold move by Narendra Modi. But here we could have given a little time. People could arrange their affairs. I mean, let us say I'm in my office. How do I know there's a major lockdown from 12 midnight? How am I going to transport my files in 2 hours back home and set up an office which will start functioning like a normal one? Very difficult situations. In any event, I believe that there's a Morris committee that at the time of independence had suggested setting up of a national health system. That should have been done sooner or later. I'm sure something like this is being worked out and is very much on the cards. Not only that, there's an education system also that should be put in place similarly for the country as a whole. Coming back to the question of what happens next, obviously many people are unable to even fight because there's a strain on the health system. There are no enough ventilators. Hospitals are unprepared to face this pandemic. Most obvious way out is to extend it. April 14 to April 30th. I mean, and then review once again. So this is probably going to be the likely outcome. I somehow feel that, however, people should be given some opportunity to accumulate some essential commodities. This unnecessary creation of very quick panic doesn't sound good. There are people with elderly people at home, with children at home. Children, they do not have sufficient milk, and they cannot leave their children and elderly parents and go and stand in lines for hours and hours. Has to be very well thought out. Prime Minister's Raghuram Rajan has said that, hey, he is willing to come and rejoin the Reserve Bank. I would be happy to be a part of the Prime Minister's advisory force. If there's anything I can do for the country, it's a difficult time, and I think things are going to get worse before they get better. So, all this thing but a lockdown, definitely extension of it is very much on the cards. Happy investing in the meanwhile. Take care. Bye bye.